and welcome back to my channel. My name is Janine. If you're new here, it's nice to meet you. I mostly post content about mental health, my experiences, and I try to share what I've learned. I also have been streaming again on Twitch, have been gaming if you'd like to hang out with me, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. PST. Link is in the description below. I wanted to talk about something in regards to my last video. I kind of mentioned that I was suicidal when I was a teenager. There was a point when I was growing up that I felt very unheard. I felt very trapped within my family. It was very difficult to just feel accepted. It was a very emotionally rough time. When it comes to emotional abuse, there's often a cycle where it keeps happening. It happens, something is made up in some sort of way or like tried to, and then it happens again. And for a very long time, I didn't know how to help myself through that, and I didn't know that it was possible to feel better from it. We'll talk a little bit more about my experience. I don't know if I want to share the entirety of it, because being older now, you know, the relationships that we have with our family can change drastically, and I think that they have for the most part. It's such a weird conundrum when you're Asian American because you don't want to disrespect your family, but this is what happened to me, and I wanted to talk about how when I called the hotline it didn't really help me, and then what actually did help me. This is a nerve-wracking video. So long story short, I called the hotline one time. I don't remember what the instance was exactly, but I do remember that I went outside and I tried to sneak a call because it was very hard to have those types of conversations in general. And I called them briefly. To me, the experience, like, it was nice, I guess, to be heard a little bit. It didn't seem like the person at the time realized the complexities of what it means to be Asian American and what it means to be in an Asian American family. I actually don't remember exactly what they said, but I remember it didn't help. It might have been just an exception to what people experience with it, and of course I'm not trying to dismiss that the hotline doesn't help people, but I know I did realize when I did call them that, one, I would like to seek help, and two, help is out there. It luckily led me to eventually getting therapy. And if you're in college like I was, especially in an undergrad university and graduate too, they usually include therapy as part of your tuition. On my campus at UC Santa Cruz, good banana slugs, we had therapists on campus, and you could schedule a certain amount of sessions depending obviously on availability, and it would be rotating counselors, but it would still be very helpful. And that was kind of my introduction into therapy. I also wanted to add that therapy wasn't really talked about within my family. Like, I knew I was anxious, but I didn't think too much about it. When I realized therapy was an option and support upon learning about campus resources, that's when I tried it, and the rest is history. Just wanted to include this for a little more context because therapy is often stigmatized, and so is mental health in Asian American cultures, and I think it's important to talk about it and that we can break that, because honestly, mental health is so important, and it is real, and it exists, and you are valid, and we all deserve support and love. Luckily, I was able to get more help and understanding through that, because with the hotline, I think that's also one of the reasons it's not as helpful, or it wasn't as helpful to me, is because that's like one phone call, but the situation I was in is so, there's so much roots in just like history and my ancestry, as well as cultural expectations and norms. So I really needed a therapist to work with me long term to be able to understand my situation and to help me navigate through that. It was very helpful. I learned a lot about techniques of like, well, if I'm getting called names or I am being put down verbally, I could just walk outside. I didn't know I could do that. Like, I could just literally step out and take a walk or something. Sometimes I felt like I couldn't, but exit that conversation. When I was like 15 or so, I remember going in the bathroom and locking it because I was feeling so awful and I just wanted my space. It didn't obviously work because I didn't stay there the whole day, but it did give me a little bit of time to like regroup and to kind of self-soothe. Man, that was a time. Yeah, it was very, very, very difficult. Also, another technique is taking medication. I was introduced to I can't remember the name, but it was basically some sort of opioid, and my therapist was like, okay, there's this medicine. If you feel like you have a really big panic attack, you can take like half of it. Or if you need it, the full one, take the full one. And I kept it on me because I would have a lot of panic attacks, but especially with family, sometimes it's easy for those to kind of rise. And I remember taking half of it once, and I was hanging out with my family, and then I actually was calm. I felt safe, I felt fine, and it was a very nice feeling, and it kind of showed me like, oh, I can feel this way around them, and that I do have power, and I do have the capability to not just be subject to whatever they throw at me. Like, I can say, like, hey, that hurts, please don't say that, or whatnot. You know, like, we don't have to take what people just give to us. We can state our own boundaries, even if we are younger, even if we don't have our complete independence or autonomy. And that was something I struggled with a lot growing up. I didn't quite know that, and I still feel very indebted to them. That's where I think there's this weird juxtaposition when, I don't even know if that's the right word here, but when, like, you know, you love your family, there's parts that like you really appreciate, but sometimes like a person can be so great, but they can still be emotionally abusive. Like, they can hurt you and make you feel like shit and make you feel awful and just unworthy. And of course, nobody deserves to feel that way. And I feel very tense as I talk about this because it's definitely trauma I've experienced, and it's very, very difficult, even now being 26 and out of that type of situation. It's still very scary because it's, you know, they're wounds. It's words really hurt, and when you've gone through that for so long, it takes a lot to unlearn those things and to kind of rewrite what you want to make of yourself and the type of person that like you want to be. So okay, I just wanted to make this quick short video to explain why the hotline wasn't that helpful, how therapy really helped me, and that hopefully if anyone else is in that situation, to encourage you to keep going, to give yourself that chance to see what the rest of life will be like, because I promise you it's really difficult. I know that, and I know that situation doesn't last forever, and there are ways to set our own boundaries. There are ways to be happy with ourselves. It's really hard when you live with those people who do that, and it's hard when you constantly have that. I was very blessed by having support and therapy, and also learning more about my culture and just how different people in my culture as well can experience that too. I think knowledge is really power, and of course medications can help a lot as well if you really need that. There's absolutely no shame. I know personally I'm not the biggest fan of pills or medications, and I tried to avoid them. And I know I didn't want to rely on that, but it was very useful for the times that I needed it. And if you do need it, that's okay too. I wanted to share this because obviously from my last video of kind of coming back and trying new things, I really wanted to push myself to kind of share a bit more because I think this story is very important. It's a little bit of a different time now, being that it's a pandemic, and I can't imagine if anyone else was in my situation with a pandemic at that time, and how it just feels to be a teenager and to be like really trapped, especially with school and all the different obligations and the pressures of this world. But know that you're not alone, that a lot of other people have also or are also going through that it is possible to come out at the end of it feeling empowered and beautiful and worthy. And I know I'm still working on that myself, but I do feel a lot better, and I survived, and I'm a warrior. That's why I use those words, because there was a time where I wanted to go and I kept fighting, and so far it's worth it, and I'm very grateful. And I hope that by sharing a little bit of my story that it helps you too. I will hopefully go more in depth to it at one point, but I wanted to kind of leave it at this for now. So Please take care. Please seek professional resources if you have the ability to, or even free resources. Just any professional, I think, is really helpful. Even trusted people like a teacher, even friends, although it's a little bit more difficult because not everyone knows how to deal with this type of situation. And as always, I hope that you have a good day, and I hope that this is helpful. And I'll see you on the next one.